The Yankees really are an anomaly in sports. Yeah, maybe they haven't won a World Series in 15 years. Yeah, maybe the Red Sox have 4 times more championships than them in the last 20 years. Yeah, maybe they're owned by Houston. Yeah, maybe they've become the butt of a lot of jokes, but there's still an undeniable aura to the franchise. I've always thought the Yankees fans shouldn't brag about 27 rings. It's stupid. At least in today's age, it's stupid. I mean, 27 rings are great and all, but when you repeatedly get dusted by your rivals while most of those 27 rings came during slavery, and I feel most Yankees fans should be able to understand this, nobody cares about those 27 rings. And before the people who can't sense sarcasm come in, you idiot, the Yankees never played during slavery. Yeah, of course not. And there are those people, by the way. They exist, so I felt the need to acknowledge that. But look, overall, even with all that, the Yankees are still the Yankees for a reason. There's a reason their logo and hat is bigger than the team at this point, the whole Yankee brand. And there are certain things about the Yankees, like certain little intricacies about them that nobody else has. But now they just took away one of the more iconic Yankee things. Just like that, no more. Which is kind of crazy. I mean, it had been a thing for the last 50 years, and now it's a rule that exists as much as the state of Wyoming. And what's even wilder is the fact that it really took one guy, a guy who up to this point hadn't even played a game for the Yankees yet, to get the end of this rule to finally happen. Really quick as always, if you're part of the 51% of viewers not subscribed yet, go ahead, hit that button if you enjoy the videos, as for the last 50 years, the Yankees had a rule against beards. You can have a mustache, but not a beard, as beards are more associated with trashiness compared to mustaches. Mustaches are more professional of a look, but the whole idea was to keep a form of discipline, which goes back to the whole Yankee aura. Up until the 1960s, players never had even their names on the back of their jerseys for any team, not just Yankees. The Chicago White Sox were actually the first team to do that. Everyone else eventually did it, other than, of course, the Yankees. They stuck with tradition and with the idea that you don't play for any individual on the back. So the Yankees have never worn jerseys with names on the backs other than the custom Players Weekend jerseys with the nicknames. And so, the no beard policy, one that started in 1976, goes along with the idea of everyone being similar and having the same kind of rules apply. The late George Steinbrenner, maybe the most iconic owner in sports history, took over the Yankees in 1973 and immediately started noting which players he felt should get haircuts. And then 3 years later, it became official. The strict appearance policy, where no player's hair, like regular hair, can touch their collars, and that they can have mustaches but no other facial hair. Gotta be clean shaven below the mouth. And yeah, I mean, that's how Steinbrenner was. He was as old school as it gets, and I respect it, honestly. There's two ways to look at the no beard rule. From an anti-perspective, I can see how it takes away certain players from looking like their best. It's a way of taking away from their personalities and who they are. I think Andrew McCutchen is a peak example of this. Now, Kutch has never been a big beard guy, but remember, the rule also has to do with your hair not being too long. So, like, you can't have long dreads at all or any sort of look that isn't professional. And I mean, I don't even have to explain this one. Just look at the difference here in aura. This is the kind of thing that bothers me. Why force guys to have a look they aren't naturally comfortable with? Why force guys to look lamer? Isn't the point of a team to have a bunch of totally different personalities and different looking people? But the beauty is they all band together and play together for a common goal. But on the flip side, you can say, well, considering they are a team and it's all about the team at the end of the day instead of any individual anything, they should all have the same way of going about things. The fact that this is the New York Yankees and it's a franchise that should carry themselves with class no matter what. And there shouldn't be much of a difference in appearance between the team hitting the field for a game or going to a Broadway show. I get that. And it for sure makes you feel like you're a part of something far greater than just yourself. Maybe call it cult-like, but I really do see both sides here. I've always leaned toward thinking this rule is just unnecessary, but I could totally understand the Yankees not wanting anyone looking like Brandon Marsh on their team. For sure, I get that. And the ending of this rule, I think, will still prevent anything like that from being possible. But how did this rule even end to begin with? Over the offseason, after losing out on Juan Soto to the Mets, the Yankees were able to spread that money out on multiple players, one of them being Devin Williams from Milwaukee, who is far from some crazy financial commitment. He's owed like $8.5 million this year, and that's it. He becomes a free agent, but he was a good solid pickup post losing Soto. Definitely left a bad taste in everyone's mouth with his final outing at 2024, but so did every closer. What a weird thing that was. Devin Williams, Emmanuel Clase, Jeff Hoffman, like all these elite relievers simultaneously just decided to be awful in the postseason. But one of the guys the Yankees traded to the Brewers for Williams, Nestor Cortez, I mean, I guess it works out because, I mean, he directly left the Yankees fans with a bad taste in their mouths.
No, 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 no.
But anyway, so Devin Williams shows up to Yankees camp with a full-on beard, which was very interesting. He shaved it like a day later, but Williams had had a beard for 6 years, even saying a couple months ago after the trade that he'll keep the beard as long as he can. And he kept his word on that, basically going as far as he could before having to shave. So he goes clean-shaven for the first time in 6 years. He looks at himself in the mirror and goes, hell nah, I'm going to single-handedly change history for the Yankees. And well, he single-handedly changed history for the Yankees. I mean, he was not happy being forced to shave, wearing his full beard to report day, and he didn't shave until the morning of the first pitchers and catchers workout. Also having noticeable stubble in his team photos, even though players had been specifically instructed to appear clean-shaven that day, not even stubbles allowed. I've always wondered what would happen if a player just refused to shave, especially if it's via a trade since they didn't choose to go there. I mean, if you're Garrett Cole signing a $324 million contract knowing what the Yankees are about, yeah, shave. But what if a player gets traded and just straight up says, no, I'm not going to? Who's stopping him? Or I guess who's forcing him to shave? And I mean, there are some examples of players being defiant about this, but more so guys who were never on the team to begin with. One of them who was on the team back in the early 90s, Don Mattingly, was benched because he refused to get a haircut.
Mattingly, get rid of those sideburns.
What sideburns?
You heard me, hippie. Mattingly, for the last time, get rid of those sideburns.
Look, Mr. Burns, I don't know what you think sideburns are, but...
Don't argue with me, just get rid of them. Mattingly, I thought I told you to trim those sideburns. Go home, you're off the team for good.
Fine. Still like him better than Steinbrenner.
In 2013, closer Brian Wilson was a free agent and literally had his representatives tell Yankees general manager Brian Cashman that he wouldn't shave his long beard to join the Yankees. David Price, back around that same time, talked about how if he went to the Yankees and had to shave his beard, he wouldn't stay there very long or sign any sort of long-term deal, calling the rules old school baseball, saying he was born in 1985 and it isn't something he'd want to be a part of. So there were some pretty strong advocates against the rule. Now you have Devin Williams as the latest example, and it's pretty crazy how it took him for it to end. He was the breaking point. He actually requested a meeting with Steinbrenner over his frustration with the rule. George Steinbrenner. He asked to go to his grave to speak with him. No, that'd be wild. But he met with Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman, which led to them talking to more players like Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton, and former Yankees players, even people outside of baseball, to get their take on whether this long-standing iconic rule should change. Now, the Yankees are looking at this as more of a, is this really what's best for the team kind of thing? Hal Steinbrenner, the late George's son, talked about how changing the facial hair policy had been a topic of internal conversation for around 10 years, but it wasn't until the last few weeks that he realized the policy was outdated, which... I mean, that's weird that it took that long for him to at least come to that conclusion rather than some point over 10 years. Anyway, as you can see with Brian Wilson, David Price, it really does affect if these guys want to play there, at least long term. It's not like some stupid thing like you would maybe think initially. I mean, Devin Williams himself even said out loud that it would affect his chances of playing long term in New York and signing a contract with them. That he would weigh that into his decision because having a beard is his preferred look and how he feels most comfortable as a person. Now, again, this rule won't necessarily mean Yankees players can start looking like Hagrid from Harry Potter. Well-groomed beards will be allowed, whatever that means, as long as it just looks clean enough, I guess, which is something Aaron Judge was about. Judge isn't growing a beard. He never really had one to begin with, and he's not going to grow one now. I mean, he's someone who really respected the rule, always saying he enjoys the discipline the Yankees rules put on players, and it makes it feel like it's a big separator from other franchises, and it is. He also said, these are his words, that he feels like as a Yankee, if that little rule is going to stop you from coming there, then you probably shouldn't be here. So you have Judge saying that, and then Devin Williams over here saying how that little rule would legit be something that factors into him staying or not in free agency. I'm not trying to start some beef that doesn't exist. I don't think this means much, but that is a little awkward. But I guess the hair length policy, for example, staying put, is the compromise that Judge is okay with. It's also wild that this rule ended just days after Williams shaved for the first time in 6 years. Like, yeah, thanks for the timing on that one. But overall, I feel like these conversations had to happen at some point to end the zero beard rule. And, well, as we all guessed, it ends up being the closer for the Brewers for the last several years, Devin Williams, as the one to kickstart the end to one of the Yankees' most iconic rules, because, of course it is. Who else else would it be? No matter what he does with the Yankees at this point, he's already made history for the franchise in a way nobody else ever has. Let me know your thoughts and thank you for watching.